Hello, I'm Dango Rose. Welcome to the Mountaineer Podcast, where everybody's listening. The Mountaineer brings you the latest news of the Peak to Peak region, in print, online, through our podcast, social media, and special publications. Now, listen in to the latest news of the area with our local journalists.
Hello there, everybody. My name is Jamie Lammers, and welcome to Music of the Mountains, Where to Be and What to See, brought to you by the Mountaineer Podcast. I'm really excited this week to be featuring a musician who will be hosting a regular event in the Peak to Peak area. As a prelude to this episode, last week I interviewed Joey Palomino, and in that interview I introduced a new question to my regular roster about albums that have inspired the artist and their sound. This will now be a regular question in my rotation, as it is going to be part of a brand new feature in our upcoming publication, The Caribou Current. The first issue is coming out on February 5th, and scattered throughout each issue is a segment called Under the Influence, where we ask local artists about the albums that have inspired them most. You'll be hearing me asking those questions in all of these episodes of Music of the Mountains from here on out, and I'm really excited to get everybody's thoughts on the albums that inspired them most. In Music of the Mountains, we want to make sure we keep you up to date with all of the great music events in the Peak to Peak area, and that includes music events from this week's sponsor, Eldora Mountain Resort. Skip the epic traffic on I-70 and head to Eldora for good vibes all season long. Eldora is your go-to spot for non-stop winter fun, with great local skiing and riding, plus slopeside DJs and the App Race music series. Don't miss the Full Moon Ski Tour, the Timbers Rail Jam, or the Morning Uphill Grind. Get all the details and check out weekly events at eldora.com. See you on the mountain! And now, let's transition into this week's music interview. So, do you mind just introducing yourself real quick?
Yeah, my name's Tom Knowlton, and I'm a musician. I play in a band called the Fretliners.
Sweet. And on your own, you are hosting open jams currently at MainStage Brewing.
Yeah, we have an open jam at MainStage Brewing here in Lyons, Colorado on Thursdays every week from 6 till about 8. And, that's come one, come all. It's a really good time. It's kind of a tight fit, but we managed to make it happen.
Sweet. And I assume this will be happening for the foreseeable future at MainStage?
Yeah, this goes until they open back up to MainGrass, which is a collective of musicians throughout the Front Range that get together, and they kind of do a random band every week outside. So this kind of takes the place of that in the interim.
Gotcha. Are you a part of that as well, out of curiosity?
Yeah, when it comes up, you kind of get called up by random. And it's like, can you do it? It's pretty cool because you never know who you're going to play with.
Amazing. And so, just in general, along with the hosting of these open jams and events like that, how did you as a person kind of get started in music in the first place? What's been your journey over the years?
Well, my dad's definitely my biggest inspiration on that. I grew up knowing music through him. He's a musician as well, phenomenal writer. And, I just kind of grew up in it and always loved the way it made me feel and knew that that's kind of what I wanted to do. And, just the true inspiration on all that happened around 13 or 14 when I started playing guitar. Lived with my dad at the time. He taught me how to play House of the Rising Sun on a guitar. He had a right-handed one strung up in the house, but he was a left-handed player. We lived kind of out in the middle of nowhere in Arkansas. I was pretty bored there as a youngster and needed something to do, so I picked the guitar up and kind of where it all started. And like I said, I learned House of the Rising Sun, and then we jumped into some bluegrass stuff after that.
Fantastic. And what have been some inspirations throughout the years that have stuck with you, through all that time?
Well, for every bluegrass guitar player, primarily, you kind of hear about that Tony Rice guy. He is just one of my greatest influential characters there. He played all the super cool, intricate innovative stuff that got all these other players where we are today. So he's a big inspiration. You know, I fell into the Grateful Dead as a youngster too and really loved Jerry Garcia. And through that, I found the Pizza Tapes where Tony Rice and Jerry Garcia got together with David Grisman and they did that project. Currently, right now, though, I'd have to say what my biggest influence in music would be is the Vern Williams Band, or Vern Williams and Ray Park. This super traditional bluegrass from California-based bluegrass band. Vern Williams, he was born and grew up in Bullfrog, Arkansas. That kind of resonates with me, too, with the whole Arkansas connection. But, yeah, right now, Vern Williams Band and Vern and Ray Park have just been a constant in the household there.
Fantastic. And yeah, as I mentioned before, we've got a new publication coming out, Caribou Current, and as part of that, we have Under the Influence as a segment. So I'm definitely curious if there are any albums in particular that have stuck out to you through all that time.
Okay, yeah. You know, I've listened to a lot of different bluegrass albums and like really gained a little bit of knowledge for what sounds right when it comes to that traditional tone. So, you know, your Del McCoury albums, and like I said, this Vern Williams, there's a Vern Williams album called Bluegrass from the Gold Country, and that's pretty influential on my traditional sounding. You know, and then you've got the classics. I listen to like Jimi Hendrix and Led Zeppelin and all the rock and roll and all the stuff that I was helped to be influenced by as a youngster. So there's just a wide variety of influence within my music, within how I play and conduct myself as a human, I guess.
Absolutely.
I think a good album to check out for any musician would be David Grisman Quintet live at the Great American Music Hall. That really changed my life as a musician, listening to those guys get together and work as a group. Another awesome album that everybody should go out and try and find is Rose Maddox with the Vern Williams Band, A Beautiful Bouquet. That was an album that was dedicated to the late, great Rose Maddox's son, who also passed away. They did some cool gospel numbers on there that I've been really liking listening to on album.
Sweet. And yeah, in general, you know, what's stuck out to you in general about this traditional sound and the bluegrass sound and all that as you've continued playing and writing?
There's a right way to do it for it to all sound right and come together right. But within that, you can find ways to break rules to explore other genres. You know, when it comes to writing songs for the Fretliners, it's not like I'm trying to write a traditional song. You know, it's a piece of art for the specific sound for this band that is just, you know, original mountain music is what I've been hearing. Some people call it. The great T-Bone Burnett's called our sound original song-driven mountain music.
Sweet. Yeah, and I've talked to you guys about the Fretliners in the past, and that was all the way back in 23. That was when you guys were kind of first starting out. So how have the Fretliners kind of developed over all that time? What's been happening in the Fretliners realm?
Well, very happy I can say that we were just in Nashville and we had a great time down there recording some music, and I'm really excited to see what comes out of that, and stay tuned for more information on that.
Sweet. And what has stuck out to you about performing with the Fretliners, performing in general, writing songs over the years? What's stuck out to you about sharing all of this with people?
You know, it's the dream. You know, it's the absolute dream to go out and get to do what you love for a living. And, you know, it's just tacky to say that at this point, but like when you really do enjoy what you're doing, it's hard to have anything negative to say about it. We all go through waves of certain things that can keep you held up or make you second guess what you're supposed to be doing out there and maybe not even want to do it anymore. But just remember, it's your dream, and your dream's the right thing, and you're never wrong about your dreams. So I've learned to just keep on ticking through everything.
For sure. Is that something that you hope people kind of take away from your music, whether it's, you know, you hosting the open gyms or performing with the Fretliners or what have you?
You know, yeah, I could see my music being a sense and sign of struggle, and you have to write about that stuff to get it out of you. So as long as the songs are still coming and we're all happy and healthy, you know, just keep on going. have a good time and have fun with it and do what you will to make happy of it.
For sure. And yeah, in general, is there anything else about the open jams at MainStage or your music stuff in general or anything that you want to make sure people know about?
Yeah, the open jam at MainStage is Thursdays from 6 to 8. All levels welcome. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's kind of a wild scene, It's a packed house in there, and they don't push us pickers into a corner, but it's a packed house in there, and we play in a tight corner, and we keep the music ripping, and the people are having a good time, and we are too. And come out and see it and listen, or bring your instrument and pick one with us.
Sweet. I think those are the big questions that I wanted to make sure I asked on my end.
Well, hey, this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it. This was great.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you so much, Tom, for coming on board and joining us for the podcast and talking about the MainStage Brewing Lyons Open Jams that you are currently hosting. You can head to the weekly Pickin' with Tom events at 430 Main Street in Lyons every Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. The Lyons MainStage Brewing location will host the Open Jams for the foreseeable future as it hosts its MainGrass events in its Gunbarrel location through May. Also, a very special shout out to Tom's dad, Jeff, who has also served as a co-writer or writer for a lot of the songs the Fretliners have played throughout their run. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in to this week's episode of Music of the Mountains, Where to Be and What to See, brought to you by the Mountaineer Podcast. We'll be back very soon with another episode of the Mountaineer Podcast, so be sure to subscribe wherever you're listening now. We're available wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Podchaser, etc. And to see an archive of all of our episodes, you can head to our podcast's main hub at the mtnearpodcast.buzzsprout.com. If you want to subscribe to the physical or digital edition of the Mountaineer newspaper, then be sure to head to the mtnear.com and click on the subscribe button in the top right corner of our homepage. From there, you can choose a digital subscription or send a physical subscription to your mailbox or to the mailbox of someone that you love. You can also find us on Facebook, YouTube, and on our Instagram page at mtn.ear. If you have any questions or suggestions for us here at the podcast, be sure to email me at media@themountaineer.com or my co-host Tyler Hickman at tyler@themountaineer.com. For other questions involving the paper as a whole, be sure to reach out to our editor-in-chief, Barbara Hart, at info@themountaineer.com or our front desk at frontdesk@themountaineer.com. We'll see you guys next time. Have a great rest of your day. The song that you are currently listening to is called Telluride's Strawberry Moon, and it's the first of 3 songs included in the single collection 3 of a Kind, released by the band The Fretliners. Lead guitarist and singer Tom Knowlton is currently hosting Pickin' with Tom Open Jams at MainStage Brewing, located at 430 Main Street in Lyons. So be sure to head there every Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. to jam with some great local musicians.
When you make that turn on the 145, that San Miguel makes you feel alive. Start to remember what you used to know comes flooding back in that valley below. Rising in Telluride, the strawberry moon beckons us home. Now high in Telluride, howling at the strawberry moon.
And that's it for our show. Subscribe online to get more access to more news, weekly updates to our community calendar, and a link to our YouTube channel by visiting themountaineer.com. Be sure to use the coupon code PODCAST when subscribing for a 10% discount, only available to our listeners. If you are in the local Peak to Peak area, be sure to pick up a print edition of The Mountaineer at a local business. I'm Dango Rose. Thank you for listening.